Welcome to Stack Shack Sports Show, part 2 of our double upload today as we get ready for the NFL season, as we are going to preview every single team. Today you're getting 2 teams. Every day following today, you will be getting another team preview as we lead right up to Chiefs-Ravens and the start of the NFL season. I cannot wait. Let's just get straight into it here, talking about the Miami Dolphins. We did the Bills. Now we're doing the Dolphins as we move through the AFC East. Key additions, you know how this works. Key additions, key losses. Let's talk about the losses first. The biggest loss, the most obvious loss, top 10 player at his position, according to PFF, Christian Wilkins. He is let go, let move on, and what is that going to do to the interior of that defensive line? If you look at how they were last season, third-ranked offense, fourth-ranked defense. This was a very strong team until it got too cold in the wild card game and they lost. So, a team that last season really looked great at times, but when ran into tougher opponents or into cold weather, really struggled. So they lose Christian Wilkins. They also lose their guard, Robert Hunt, who was a very highly rated player. And kind of I would say, a bit of a surprise. He's been around a little bit, but last season I really started feeling like we heard a lot about Andrew Van Ginkel and his impact on that defense. And I really do feel Christian Wilkins, Van Ginkel together, inside and outside there, I think that was a big part of their defensive success. Now, they immediately in the draft with their first pick went up and grabbed Chop Robinson out of Penn State. Fantastic linebacker, and he can fit that edge rusher position that Andrew Van Ginkel can. It's just going to be a matter of, can he get up to speed and make those kinds of impacts, right? When you have a veteran player, they're ready to go. This is a rookie. He's going to have to learn the whole new defensive scheme. Hopefully they can keep it similar to what he played at Penn State so that he can get up to speed as fast as possible. Also brought in linebacker Jordan Brooks, which is an underrated pickup, I think. Comes over from Seattle. I think that was a big pick. And then Kendall Fuller is a solid player as well to bring in, add a little more depth at that corner position. Again, last season, they had some ups and downs. They looked completely dominant at moments. They ended up 11-6, and they lost in the wild card against cold weather. Really. Let's be real here. They lost against cold weather. To me, that is the story of this team, and that is going to continue to be the story of this team. Don't get too caught up in how they look early. It's really going to be, can Tua play in the cold? That's my opinion. And, if you look at statistics, he historically has never been able to overcome that problem. So, what do you need? Well, you need to be pretty much flawless in your execution. You can't have a lot of big mistakes and end up in a wild card game throughout the season. You got to win your division. Really, it would be best if you could secure home field advantage. I think that's going to give them the best chance. Because if they got to travel to Buffalo again, they got to travel to Kansas City again, got to travel to Baltimore, to Cincinnati. If you think about the teams that are there at the top that we anticipate to be contending for the AFC Championship game and that bid to the Super Bowl, it's a lot of cold weather teams, right? It's the AFC North. All of those teams are cold. It's the Chiefs. It's the Bills in your own division. That's difficult. Now, there's a slight typo here at the bottom. At the bottom, you'll see I wrote week 2 at Buffalo. It's not at Buffalo. They get that game at home. Slightly unfortunate, meaning at the beginning of the season, when the weather is theoretically better in Buffalo, is when Miami gets the game at home. They're going to have to travel to Buffalo, the week 9 at Buffalo. That is correct there on the screen. They have to travel to Buffalo in week 9. It's the beginning of November. That's going to be a key game. Also, week 13 at Packers. Another late in the season game in cold weather. Now, Week 16 versus the 49ers, that's towards the end of the season. That game could have major implications on who wins that division. Again, if you're a Miami fan, your goal this season is win that division, and if you can, secure home field advantage, because that's going to give you an opportunity to win late in the playoffs and not have to deal with the cold weather. You can play at home in Miami, where it shouldn't be too bad. A little unfortunate you're in that situation. You'd like to be able to go into Buffalo, go into Kansas City, go into Cincinnati. Obviously, a home game's always going to be easier, but your team is very limited in cold weather. Now, last season, the wild card game, that was kind of historically cold and wet and snowy, and all of this stuff was going on. So that's, maybe a little bit of an outlier, but Tua's not winning games when it's like under 36. I'm telling you, Arrowhead, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Baltimore, all these places are gonna be under 36, or at least have a reasonable possibility of being under 36 in the end of the season. Week 13, Lambeau Field against the Packers, it's gonna be cold, most likely. Right? That's the nature of the beast. So that's going to be my key. That's what I'm looking for. If we look at some other overall things here with the Miami Dolphins, again, Buffalo at home to start. You'd really rather have this be the away game. I'd much rather play in Buffalo in September than I would in November. Some other key games that I didn't list. That at Browns, going to be interesting. I mean, really, this last 3 games here before they play the Jets, who we'll see. We'll see what the Jets are. Tune in for sure at that preview. It'll be coming soon. But Texans, Niners, Browns, it's kind of a tough little stretch there to end the season. So, going to have to get out to a fast start and hopefully win a bunch of these games going into the bye. Is it possible that Miami's 6-0 going into the, or 5-0 going into the bye? Yeah, I think it's very possible. But we'll just have to wait and see. Looking a little deeper into their offseason here, they did bring in Calais Campbell, who I think is a very solid pickup out of Atlanta there, to, again, help replace Andrew Van Ginkel, while you have also Chop Robinson brought in. Jordan Poyer, not the highest ranked player, obviously, but somebody with a lot of experience coming out of Buffalo could be good. Again, Kendall Fuller, fantastic pickup at the cornerback position, but losing Christian Wilkins, it's can they replace him with some people? Tart coming in, that could help. You'll see a lot of defensive linemen here, but they definitely didn't really address directly their need at that defensive interior, in my opinion. Not at least not in any way towards a player like Christian Wilkins. I mean, that dude is a monster in the middle. And yeah, you solve maybe the Van Ginkel position with that first pick of Chop Robinson. But you look at that list. I mean, we just looked at it. Yeah, there's defensive linemen. It's going to have to be a committee kind of situation. Players that were already on the roster are going to have to step up. But it is going to be hard to replace Christian Wilkins. I'm curious. Miami Dolphins fans, let me know in the comments down below. How you feeling? How you feeling about the defense? I mean, you were a top 5 ranked defense by PFF last season. Do you think you can do that again? Your offense was great. Your defense was great. Offense didn't really lose too many pieces. Cedric Wilson's maybe a piece, but you load up with a few other players that I think are very capable there at the wide receiver position. Still got Tua. Still got your head coach, offensive genius. I don't anticipate the offense having struggles until it gets cold, and then we're just going to have to see. But they're on defense. Losing, really, I would almost say the 2 most recognizable, maybe the 2 best players on that defense. How do you think you reloaded? Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see you tomorrow.